Hey there everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuck with Queen Bee Creations, and today we're going to be doing a little craft which is actually Christmas. I'm barely done fall, but I'm starting some Christmas. I know there's a number of you that asked me to jump in with a couple of Christmas crafts because you've got markets coming up. Now these little mirrors I thrifted, but they were IKEA mirrors. So little IKEA sticker on them, inexpensive, easy to find. And what I thought that would be cute for Christmas is just doing these up with Christmas molds on them. So, and you could do anything, right? That, you know, like the other day I had played with the ceramic resin. I have some of these, this is a Prima mold. I have the little, nutcrackers, I'm going soldiers. Nutcrackers, but you could take some of the big ornaments, either from IOD or Prima, use those, or, you know, the Prima Santas. So I happen to have a bunch of resin castings that I put aside. Now these are castings that whenever I mix up resin for a project and I have extra, I just pull out some of my molds that I know are things that I'm likely to need in future. So I have a bunch of snowflakes. So I'm gonna do one with snowflakes, but I am gonna want a couple of the bigger ones in clay so that I can cut them in half so that they're coming off the frame. And I am going to take the old Christmas tree from IOD, which I think it was last year. Was it last year? Which just coincidentally happens to be virtually the same size as my frame. So come on, that's perfect. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna make these clay pieces up. And this is a big mold, so I just want to get some cornstarch into it for my clay to begin with. But I'm not doing this in resin. I mean, I have this big tree already done in a resin, but I actually want to cut it in half. So there's no problem in mixing kind of clay pieces with resin pieces on something like this, because I'm going to paint them out. No one's going to know, nor are they going to care. It's not going to matter. But I know for this one, I want to cut it right down the middle. So because of that, resin's not going to work so well for me. So I'm kind of using a lot of scraps from this package, and it's getting a little firm. But I'm going to get this tree pressed out into my mold, and then we'll come back to unmold it, because I think this is going to be a lot of pushing. All right, so we're going to flip this over and see if I'm able to get it out intact, because some of my clay was a little dry. So I like to just take the same brush that I used to put the cornstarch inside the mold and just kind of tease it out. And with some of these, like this one that's not very deep, it's a fairly shallow mold, sometimes you just have to be a little bit more delicate about taking it out. Plus it has tons of detail. All those little fur, not necessarily branches, but all the little needles and everything in detail, and I'd like to keep that part of it. So my next step with this, before I start to overhandle it, is I want to cut it. And I'm going to try and cut it roughly in half. It doesn't have to be exact for my purposes. Alrighty, Now, I think that the easiest way to do this is maybe to flip this over this way. Awesome. And see how that goes. And now what I want to do, I just didn't go all the way through perfectly, so just fixing that up. And I'm going to glue the back. And I want to attach it onto my frame. I want half the tree here and half the tree here. I didn't check width, but it looks good to me, so I think that we'll be fine on that score. And I'm gonna maybe get a bit of glue over here that I can be using. And I like using these little spatulas because it helps me spread it out right to the edges of everything. And if I get it out to all those edges, then they don't have a tendency as they dry to kind of curl up at all, which is perfect. So I'm going to get these glued, applied onto my frame, one on either side, and then I'm going to leave it to dry overnight so that we can then come tomorrow and do some finishing. Now that these have had time to dry overnight, you can see that there was some cracking, but quite honestly, once these get painted, you'll never know. This one with the snowflakes, I did do one big snowflake at the bottom, just half. These ones that I had done in resin, I had added some alcohol ink to, so that's why they're colored. Don't worry about it. We're gonna paint that out. This one I'm gonna start out by painting in white. I'm gonna use Casement by Fusion. This one, I want a nice, deep, rich green. So I'm gonna actually mix it myself. So I have alchemy colors. I have Lagoon, which is this deep, rich blue. And I'm just guessing how much I'll need. So both colors, the Fusion mineral paint and the alchemy, this is an acrylic limestone chalk paint. Both are both self-seal. The Fusion mineral paint that I'll be using here has more of a seal on it than this one, but it doesn't matter for this project in any way. So this was, by the way, this was Willow, which is kind of a greeny yellow, you can see. And I'm just thinking the two of them together are likely to make a fabulous green. Now, my proportions kind of roughly were in the 50-50 camp. I may need a little bit more Willow to take a little bit more of the blue tone out, but this is a good place to start. I'm liking that already. Let me add a bit more Willow and we'll see where we go. Next step with these, I mean, you could do at this stage, you could go in multiple directions. You could add any kind of colored glazing that you want and white back. You could add, you know, dark wax to this, white wax to this. So again, depending upon the look that you're after. I'm gonna go nice and simple. I'm gonna do some gold gilding wax. I happen to have Annie Sloan. I've got Prima in the shop. I just have to use up what I have before I open anything new. It's my rule. Otherwise it goes crazy. I was thinking copper, now I'm thinking I'm gonna go silver. I'm gonna go silver on this, gold on this. And what I'm doing is I'm just taking some onto my finger and I'm just going to brush it over the highs. So, you know, my molds are lovely and detailed. I'm just going to bring out some of that detail, you know, the detail on the snowflakes. This is on my trees. And I'll probably add some as well around some of my edgings. You could use a little paintbrush for this, a little tiny firm sponge for this. I just use my finger. But I'm gonna get that on, bring out those details. Look at how beautiful that is. And I think I have another step on this one. This one will be done, I think. I'll certainly clean off my mirrors where I likely have a bit of paint on. But yeah, I have to see this one finished before I decide whether or not I have another step on it or not. Now for this one, you could be done. And it does look great as it is with those with all the detail of those trees. I'm just gonna do one other little thing. I don't know what it's gonna look like. Maybe it messes it up. We'll see. So I happen to have this little relief glue. It's just in a really fine tube. You could use anything. It's just that it's going to be really small, and it's going to allow me to kind of dot some glue in. And then I'm going to take some very fine glitter, and I'm just testing it in one spot first, just to see what it looks like, and then dump it out. Oh, okay, I don't mind that. It's like a little, just a little red ball in that one spot. I wasn't sure if it was going to stick to my wax or what, so I'm going to do little spots of it here and there. Not a lot. And I'm going to go slow just so that I don't lose track of where I put it. And I will allow it to kind of dry and then shake all the excess off. And then I can call it quits. Now, you could use this same thing and write Merry Christmas on here. So you could add extra glitter. You could certainly go and do details over top of anything. This is a product called Mistion Relief. It's Relief Mixtion. I don't know. It's from PBO. So just a kind of basic product. You could do little dabs of glue of any kind. So this isn't a this is the only product that would work thing. I just happen to have this. Let's take a look at our finished frames. So first we have our little snowflake one, and you can see that that little bit of gold just kind of brought out the details. And then we have our little silver and green one. And I like it with just that little tiny bit of that red sparkle showing. So the idea with these is that I just happened to, let me see if I can hold these up by the backs. There we go. I just happened to have thrifted these mirrors, but they are just IKEA little mirrors. And I thought that they would be super cute for Christmas, just as a little thing that you could do that easily hung on a wall, just adds a little bit of a Christmas element without going all out, but you certainly could. So, you know, in this instance, we just took the one mold, cut it in half and did half and half on either side. But think about the molds that you have. I mean, the Prima nutcrackers, you could do those in resin, not in clay, so that they're nice and sturdy, and you could line them up across the top, and they're extending out across the top. Or I know last year IOD had some deer, and you could have them jumping off, or you could have raised holly and berries. So as much as on this one and this one with cutting off the snowflake, just so it didn't seem so locked into the frame itself, you could have these elements extending off the frame. So, you know, if you did it with resin, so it's gonna be a little bit hardy, then you could have it going beyond the frame itself. So you're not locked into just that shape or that size. You can have some elements that go beyond it. Just one little idea of what you could do for a pretty quick little Christmas craft. I think that, again, these would be super cute in a market or a booth for Christmas. They're a low price point overall, doesn't take a lot of your time and effort, and just gives a little something that's kind of different for you to be able to dress up your booth with, or for you to dress up a wall. Let me know what you think of this one, guys. Looking forward to hearing from you and to seeing you on the next one. Until then, take care.